And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tgd Today. New format for us here at thegolfdirector.com. I'm your host, George Honeycutt, and with me, just a valued guest.
Can't beat it. I'm glad to be here.
Dr. Al Cloyd. We got Al's mic on. Try it again.
Good to be here this morning.
No, still don't have him. That's okay. We'll catch him. He's in. Welcome, Al.
Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Welcome to see you. All right. Today we're going to do our first segment here on TGD Today is going to be the roundtable. I'm excited about this new format. What we'll be doing is bringing you the segments throughout the day under the TGD Today banner. So I'm excited about that. So a little change up, but it's one that I'm excited about, Jeff's excited about, and we'll look forward to providing you some entertaining golf discussion, especially coming up, the Ryder Cup. We are, of course, all enthralled right now. The media hype and blitz and everything that's going on with the Ryder Cup. It's all that anyone is talking about. Traveling yesterday, I did a little business, had a little work to do yesterday, Al, and met with a couple of reps, one of which Chris Sweeney with Mizuno. And we still don't have Al's mic up. Or we go ahead. So what we're doing here is I met with Chris yesterday, and one of the first questions out of Chris's mouth is, of course, we were talking about the new 850s, and we were talking about several different things, but we were discussing the likelihood of who the pairings would be and things of that sort. And so, of course, the first words out of his mouth is, well, Godfather, who do you think is going to be? And so it was rather interesting. I'm seeing we're still having issues with the microphone. Do we need to take a quick commercial break and come back? Jeff, what do you think? All right. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. I mentioned to Chris yesterday and a couple other people, the banter back and forth was Ryder Cup, Ryder Cup, Ryder Cup. That's all I heard. And it's, the practice groups that have been put out by the different captains, McGinley and, of course, Watson, has kind of taken the mystery out of it. I think if I was captain, which will never happen, but if I was captain, I would send them out like on Tuesday, for example, when they really went out on the course and started playing 18 or 9 or whatever they were doing. If I really wanted to add a mystique to it, keep everybody guessing, it was interesting. Captain Watson went ahead and put them out in pods. Okay, pods. That's great. And so these 4 guys went out together. And it was for them to get used to one another. It was real easy to see on Wednesday when the same pods went out together that you knew who the pairings were. It kind of give you a good idea. We got Mike now. It took all the mystery out of it. So it really, but then again too, McGinley basically did the same thing. He was putting out pods, and so the only difference is really. Inside the pods with the European squad, there was still the question of, okay, within that pod, who's going to play with one another? You're looking at Gallagher, Westwood, Dubuisson, or McDowell. Who is going to be paired with one another in there? What has also come up during this week, of course, is all the hype and BS that's been going out by the media and been pounded by the media. By, of course, Rory is now suing the management company that that Graham McDowell has an interest in. And so Mickelson even made a comment during his press conference yesterday, Al, that, well, our team unity is great. We're all getting along well with one another, and at least we don't litigate against one another.
Right.
So,
what's it actually over?
It's just a management issue. It's a matter of, there was too much money evidently being taken. And
well, they promised Rory when they went in there that he would have at least the same type of program that Graham McDowell had. And Roy's suing them because Graham McDowell's got a better contract.
Okay.
That's where it all stems from. And that's the
But
interesting
Graham's
thing.
an actual owner.
But he's a partner. He has an
In-
equity stake
yeah.
in the company. So yesterday, Graham says, well, thank God he's not suing me personally. We're still friends. And he said, I saw him hitting drives on the range. And he said, I wouldn't mind hitting a select shot off some of those drives.
No, sure, absolutely.
doubt. No
Absolutely.
doubt.
So, but the media,
Yeah, his
again,
business.
it's been taken all week. It's almost getting nauseated to the point, and you gotta realize the gun that they're under, the media, the Golf Channel, whoever it may be, the Golf Writers Association, whoever's over there, on somebody's dime to come up with something to talk about.
Just anything. So
Just
kind
anything.
of grabbing.
Yeah. But really the whole intrigue of the Ryder Cup is okay, you have these 12 guys that made the team. Now, how are they going to play together? That's really the Ryder Cup.
That's it. How well they're going to gel.
Because then you can also sit and talk about these 12 guys and how they're going to handle themselves in the singles matches.
Yeah, because the debate's always been made about the Americans, that we're not team players. Americans don't, we're the Europeans are more team oriented.
But the
it'll
point
be
is,
interesting.
Al, last year, just in a discussion standpoint, and this has been a big point that's been discussed, last year the U.S. squad kicked the or not last year, but 2 years ago at Medina, kicked the European squad's butt
Yes.
in the first 2 days of foursomes and four-ball.
Yes, sir.
So the team unity was better on the U.S. side than it was on the Europe side.
Exactly.
It wasn't until the singles matches that the U.S. squad just totally fell apart.
Which is the exact opposite of what you would have expected. Yep.
So it was, if the team unity aspect is so very vital and important, hell, at one point in time, 2 years ago at Medina, USA was up 10-4 on Sunday.
That's big.
10-4.
That's big.
They could have fell over backwards and laid in the fairways and win this thing.
Right.
But the European squad individually on singles play came back and took the win, 14.5, 13.5.
Yes, sir.
So, all the hype and BS about the teams and the pods and all this, that's great. I've written down the names, basically of the players and who's probably going to end up playing with one another, who's not going to end up playing with one another. I think another good, interesting discussion is tomorrow morning, Al, this thing starts bright and early Friday morning. Coverage will begin as late as 10 p.m. tonight. The actual on-site coverage will begin at 1 a.m., and then the matches actually start at 2:30 a.m. in the morning. So, again, I'll be up at my standard 2 o'clock
Right.
to watch this stuff.
this stuff. Yeah.
But my point is there's only 4 matches in the morning.
Okay.
So there are basically 8 players from Europe and 8 players from the U.S. that's going to go out in the morning.
Okay, I'm with you.
That means 4 of them sitting down.
I got you.
Okay.
Having breakfast.
Yeah. So they're sitting down, they're staying in the team room, they're playing ping pong and dipping a sauna.
That's right.
Because Team
Maybe a
USA
little massage.
made sure that there was a sauna and a ping pong table in the team room.
Right.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
That's good for them. So let's real quick. This is my opinion as far as who's going to open up tomorrow. Because again, there's going to be players sat down starting tomorrow morning. I'm going to take Team Europe first. Now, first off, I think the first group going out is going to be Rory McIlroy and Sergio Garcia.
They're going to come out shooting strong right out the gate.
Yep.
Yep. They're going to bring the big guns.
And I think Team USA, if Captain Watson wants to make a statement, and this is just my opinion, but Captain Watson's going to have to make a statement. And to do that statement, he's going to have to get the U.S. participant, the spectators over there, into it. And the best person on the U.S. squad to get them into it is Keegan Bradley. So he's going to take Keegan and Phil and put against McIlroy and Garcia. So that'll be match 1.
Okay.
All right. So going off second is then you get into it's just a toss-up. It could be, pretty much anybody. But I think going off second is realistically going to be Thomas Bjorn and Martin Keimer.
Okay, I can see that.
So you're sending the two, they're basically no BS. They just go out and play their game, and they're a couple of bulldogs. They don't really socialize. They don't really talk. Thomas Bjorn's going to smoke 2.5 packs of cigarettes during his four-ball or his foursome match in the morning.
Right.
And then against them is where the real question comes up, because here's where the U.S. squad starts to kind of break apart. But what I think is going to happen is the second tee time tomorrow against Bjorn and Keimer, excuse me, is going to be Furyk and Reed.
Okay.
So, and bless Jim's heart, he better go out and make birdies,
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that.
because there's no telling what Patrick Reed's going to do. So I think those two are going to be paired together against Bjorn and Keimer. Third tee time is, I believe, going to have to be really in the morning. They're going to have to go after a for sure strong team that both of these guys, one of them has played a little bit worse than the other one during the year, but one of them's actually pretty hot, and that's Jamie Donaldson, and I picture him being paired with Henrik Stenson.
Okay.
So those two, you're looking at Donaldson, of course, he's basically in the eyes of the spectators over there. He's a local boy. He's from Great Britain. He's going to be, really mounting a charge. And Stenson has become really a backbone, a real pylon in the European team because of what he did last year, winning the FedEx Cup, of how much he dominated the year, and his major wins and things of that sort. So I think Stenson and Donaldson will go up against, and here's where it gets a little
Dicey.
dicey again.
Yep.
I think you're going to see Walker and Kuchar together. Interestingly. Now, they've been talking that Kuchar's going to end up playing with Fowler, or he's going to end up playing with Spieth.
Well, they're
But-
kind of talking it's going to be I think he's going to use more a veteran and then a younger player. It's kind of the mentality that I think he's going to imply.
Well, let me put it to you this way. If I was Captain Watson, do you go ahead and say to the rookies, okay, let's make sure that because tomorrow's temperature is supposed to be a high of about 58, and the winds are going to blow from 15 to 25.
That's a beautiful day in England.
Well, it is,
It's a
bud.
beautiful day.
I agree, partner. But the point is, you're looking at wind chills of 40 to 42.
Yes, sir.
You're looking at it's going to be damp.
Yes,
You're
sir.
looking at the golf course itself is already playing soft. The greens are rolling slow.
Right.
So they're nowhere like the speeds that the U.S. squad would probably
used
prefer
to.
it to have.
Yes, sir.
So the Europeans are there. I'm thinking that in Team 3, you're sitting here looking at a Stenson Donaldson. Who should they go against? Frankly, I feel like you're going to have to put Bubba out there,
Oh, no doubt.
and then you're also going to have to put Ricky out there.
Definitely.
So do you put the golf boys together? Now, although they've not been potting together,
Okay.
but do you put them out there like Captain Watson over the next few hours before they make the announcements later on Golf Channel? And my predictions are probably absolutely wrong, and I hope everybody's disagreeing with me. But I'm sitting here going, you cannot really put your Spieths out there, your Reeds out there tomorrow morning, the start in the foursomes matches, because Europe is sending proven players out there under the Ryder Cup.
Right.
And so likewise, you're going to have to sit there and say, okay, Watson's got Ryder Cup experience. Fowler's got Ryder Cup experience. Now, Furyk and Reed,
Fowler.
questionable. I would even take Furyk and put him with Zach Johnson in the morning.
That would be a good pairing, I think. I think that would be a good pairing.
So, you've got two pillars in the game. You've got two veterans in the game. You've got Jim Furyk, who's one of the hottest players on the earth right now. Zach Johnson, who has just got the best short game probably on the earth right now. And you put them out there against, your Bjorns or Keimers or whoever you're going to do. And then you take and put Fowler and Watson together. Again, the there's only going to be 4 matches out there in the morning.
Right.
So you're starting to sense now where you're laying some people down for the morning matches. So let's look at the 4th tee time. Now, this is without a doubt going to be where McGinley puts Poulter and Rose. Those two are going to be together. You're not going to break that up. Although Ian Poulter went out for a practice 9 today, he didn't hit a fairway. He missed the par 3, number 4, by 35 yards. He hit spectators up on the far right-hand side up by the trees. So he doesn't have his game,
Doesn't
dude.
have his game, yep.
But Justin's hitting lasers right now. Justin's just a player. He's got a swing that is just absolutely gorgeous, and Justin Rose will play the wind. However, where Poulter comes into play is, again, he's Mr. Ryder Cup for the European squad.
Right.
I mean, the dude is just, he's impervious to, what is he playing after? How is he putting? What's his short game like? Who cares? This is Poulter, Ryder Cup.
Exactly.
He's going to figure out a way to win. If it's cutting the Achilles of the player, the opposite of him,
Yep.
if he's going to all of a sudden make him disappear on the course somewhere, if a couple of big guys come and tote the U.S. team away, or he's going to figure out a way to win.
They're
so
tough.
they're
tough.
I got Poulter and Rose together in the 4th tee time tomorrow morning. And again, folks, you're listening and watching us here on TGD TV, TGD Radio. My predictions probably absolutely wrong, but they are what they are. Now, for the 4th team coming up for the USA, again, I think because of Poulter and Rose, you're going to have so much emotion, so much energy. You've got to do something out there to stop a little bit of that. And interestingly, just to keep a calm, even keel against what's going on out there with them, is you've got to have 2 players out there that this emotion, this hype, these roars that's going to be coming from either this group or the groups in front of them have no effect on the USA players. They're just going to go out and make birdies. And who's going to go out and make birdies? Kuchar. He just makes birdies. That's all he does. And then Jimmy Walker.
Yep.
Jimmy Walker, his heart rate hasn't been above 45 his entire life.
That's amazing.
It really is. The boy
amazing.
spends 2 hours on a treadmill at full run, and his heart rate never gets above 45.
That's amazing.
I do believe that he could be standing in front of a bullet, and he would just grin and look at it, and then somehow under the matrix rules of life,
right,
he just dodges it. Yeah, exactly. He does the bend.
Yeah. Well, the thing I'm thinking, there's just 2 names missing, from the U.S. and how's that going to affect us? And I think the 2 I'm talking about.
Woods
and
Dustin.
You got it.
I don't think it's got any effect at all.
Don't think it's going to have any effect at all.
Dude,
okay.
They made the conscious decision not to do this.
Oh, I'm with you.
Okay? Tiger, yeah, his back hurt. He hurt it again. He hurt it again. That's just Tiger. He basically made the decision, I got to try to come back for the Open. I got to try to come back for the PGA. I got to try to do this. I got to play in my own event at Congressional. He made that decision.
Right.
And then Johnson, he just threw it away.
Yep. Did you notice yesterday that Johnson's going to be a father?
Really?
Yeah, they made an announcement.
Out of wedlock. Huh?
Yeah, and it's going to be a little boy.
Oh, really?
So wish him the best with that.
Yeah. That's very nice of you. I sure could go into it, but Jeff would take his earphones off and throw them through the glass if I did.
Go ahead, man. Let's try it.
No.
Let's try.
No.
I got to stir stuff up just a little bit, or it wouldn't be me.
Well, I'll just say this: this ain't the first child he's fathered, so we'll move on.
Right.
That's just my opinion. Moving on. Again, foursomes in the morning, 4-balling tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
And you've got these players that are going out in the morning. Now you've sat down, Graham McDowell, You've sat down Dubuisson. You've sat down Stephen Gallagher, and who is the local boy. I think Stephen Gallagher ends up getting put into the morning matches somewhere just because he lives 20 minutes away. So there's one guy that on the European squad that's probably going to get worked into the 4-ball that goes out in the morning, or the foursomes that goes out in the morning, and blows out one of my other picks. You know, whether that's Keimer or whether that's Bjorn or whoever.
Right.
Then tomorrow afternoon, is that when you go ahead and play Reed? Is that when you play Hunter Mahan, who, whatever? Is that where you play Webb Simpson, who is probably him? And right now, Jordan was really having a tough time hitting the fairways this morning. He's got a big left to right going, and he's got a pretty bad alignment issue right now.
Okay.
He's not giving himself enough room left for the ball to peel enough, and he was missing several fairways. He was really struggling with his driver. And in this wind that's going to be up tomorrow, Al, you can't do that. Right. You got to be, now who was striking their ball absolutely laser-like today? Jim Furyk.
Yeah.
That boy had that draw going. Oh, my God. He had a launch angle of about 14, 15. Just lasering these things out there.
He's unbelievable. He really is. I've watched him play at Harbor Town. Just remarkable. We used to kind of kid at his swing.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It was interesting.
How can you go? It works.
Mickelson was hitting. It's like they got on 18, the par 5 uphill, 518 yards, and Mickelson hit 4 balls off the tee box, and I don't think one of them found the fairway. Keegan Bradley hit 2, and you're sitting there watching them, trying to grab, okay, do I peel it out here? Mickelson was one side of the tee box, then he went to the other, then he came back to the middle, then he went to the outside extreme.
Oh, exactly.
And,
yeah.
He was chasing it.
Right.
He was chasing it. And doggone it, Ricky Fowler gets up, puts the peg in the ground, and he hits this laser little, just straight as an arrow, right up the left-hand side of the fairway, and he just kind of took his driver and threw it to his caddy and says, okay, that's all I need. Let's go.
I got this one.
Let's go.
Right.
He was just in rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
He got to the par 3 on the back. It was playing about 208, but it was into the wind, right to left, facing him, actually quartering face. And he just nutted this 3-iron, and it just goes in with this nice little draw and sits about 12 feet away. He was the only one in the group, and this is after one player, and I won't mention his name, hit 3 balls off the tee, and another player hit 2, and another player hit 2. Ricky was the only one to hit the green.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
it's just, I don't know whether they're chasing a swing or they're chasing the flight of the ball. As you know, Mickelson gets in at times to where he wants to work everything. He's like Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
He can't hit it straight.
Yep.
He wants to work everything. And then, of course, watching him up on 18, Mickelson was going around, and he was trying to play these flop shots to these different pin positions and all that, coming up short quite often,
yes, sir.
I might say. The fairways have been really sloped off. And when you see the course on the TV tomorrow, folks, and watching it today, yesterday, however you've been keeping up with it, there's a lot of undulations off the greens. The greens themselves have some movement in them, but they're not severe.
I'm with you. Yep.
But however, most of the greens are pushed up, and they have these big sweeping hollows off of them.
Definitely.
And this is not a run-up type golf course, folks. This is not your standard Scottish links. This is not Ireland golf. This is not Wales golf. This is not Scottish golf. This is more like a Parkland course. It's more like a U.S. type of golf course. Right. These guys are going to have to throw the ball to the target. They're going to have to throw the ball into the greens. And they can't play these little run-up shots, like at St. Andrews or the old course or Ballybunion or wherever. Yep. They can't play these little knockdowns like they do at the British Open.
Right.
So they're going to have, and the golf course is soft.
That's going to be unique for this event.
It will be.
Yes.
It will be. But then again, you go back and say, okay, does that give the U.S. squad an advantage?
But the Europeans play so much over here,
exactly.
I just, I can't see it.
I agree. You got Rose, and you've got you sit there and look at the list. You've got now McElroy, you've got Rose, you've got Poulter, you've got Stenson, you've got, let's see here, Graham McDowell,
G-Mac.
They all own homes in the U.S. They all
definitely.
live here full time.
That's
So, I mean, Garcia doesn't. He still lives in Spain. Martin Keimer's still in Germany. Jamie Donaldson is still in I believe he's in Scotland. Or GB, he's in Great Britain, one of the two, but he's primarily still European tour. Victor Dubuison's still in France. Martin Keimer's still in Germany. So half of their team are U.S. residents, if you want to say.
If you want to say it, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you look at the U.S. pairings and you look at the U.S. players, none of them really have the game to have played a British golf course. So this benefits them greatly.
That's correct.
Your Bubba Watson,
Yep.
he's a fly to the pin. He's a fly to the target.
Yep.
Ricky Fowler, he's a fly to the target.
Very target oriented.
Now Mickelson, he can play that low shot, low chunk of dunk run and all that. We saw that at the British when he won.
Yep.
But however, Mickelson also too can hit the ball extremely high.
Yes.
So he's kind of a universal player, and he's proven that during his career.
Yes.
Jim Furyk, he's a fly high guy. I won't even get into Keegan and Patrick and all that because we don't know what personality of theirs is going to show up. So
Right. I'm with you.
Again, you're joining us on TGD Today, our new platform, and in this first segment, we've been doing the roundtable for you. It's again just general discussion about Ryder Cup, but one of which we've enjoyed talking about for the last several weeks, and
Very
we'll
much.
continue to enjoy talking about. Again, coming up this Sunday, it's breakfast at the Ryder Cup here at TGD Studios. Of course, TGD TV, TGD Radio will be in at 7 a.m. Jeff is shaking his head. Oh, goodness, that's way too early. 7 a.m. starting our coverage of the Ryder Cup, and this is being sponsored by Sunday by Palmetto Moonshine. We're real excited to have them bringing in some samples, and I hope they bring a lot because we've got a lot of people showing up to join us here in the studios, Al of which, of course, we hope will be here if we can get him out of bed early enough, and we'll be bringing you coverage for several hours of the Ryder Cup on Sunday. So for Al, Cloyd, George Honeycutt, everybody here at the TGD Studios, thanks for joining us on the Roundtable on TGD Today. Coming up, we'll be talking more about the Ryder Cup and, of course, Tech Talk with Al Cloyd.
If you're looking to play some golf in the Myrtle Beach area, just call Dave at the Golf Director, 844-GO-GOLF-1. That's 844-464-6531. Just call Dave. Dave can get you on the course with the best rates on the Grand Strand. Just call Dave. If you're a little shy and you don't like talking on the phone, just chat with Dave. Go to thegolfdirector.com in the lower right-hand corner, click chat. In a few seconds, you're going to be chatting live with Dave. Dave has some of the best golf packages offered anywhere. Just call Dave. 844-GO-GOLF-1. That's 844-464-6531. Tell your friends to tweet at the Golf Director. Hashtag just call Dave. 844-GO-GOLF-1. Just call Dave at the Golf Director.
Tee it up, where we gonna hit 'em today? Tee it up, got my sticks, I'm on my way.
I'm here today with personal trainer Ryan Copeland talking about how we can improve our golf game with some easy daily stretches. But Ryan, more importantly, we've been talking about what to do before you even get into stretching because injury can happen.
We don't want to stretch a cold muscle. We got to get it warmed up. We got to get some blood flow going into that muscle. And however you do that functionally, to stretch it, you just got to get blood in there, warm it up so it gets more malleable and stretches. You go for a walk, you can bike ride, small jog, high knee raises, walking, bring the knees up, whatever it takes to get blood in that muscle. Now, just because you do that and get a little warm, don't mean your chest is warm or your back is warm. So you could do something to warm up the chest and the back. It's like push-ups, slight arm curls, slight movements, slight squats to get the lower back, to get blood flow up there. So let's not go for a walk and then do a full body stretch thinking everything's warm.
Good point. Good point. Thank you so much. So make sure you've warmed up before you stretch, because ultimately those stretching exercises are what's going to help our golf game.
Absolutely. The whole purpose of this is to get a better golf swing, get the tension out of the muscles, hit the ball longer and further with less effort. We can do that by malleable muscles and proper stretching.
Thanks, Ryan, and thank you for joining us for this fitness tip brought to you by The Gym, North Myrtle Beach's only 24-hour fitness facility. For more information about this topic and other fitness information, find them at thegym24.com. That's thegym24.com.
Since opening in February 2000, Crow Creek Golf Club has become one of the most popular destinations for golfers visiting the Myrtle Beach area. Created by architect Rick Robbins, Crow Creek Golf Club's scenic and imaginative layout receives praise daily. The undulating L93 bent grass greens, manicured TIF Sport Bermuda fairways, and genuine hospitality of the entire staff are the reasons you will want to play Crow Creek Golf Club. Book your tee time here on thegolfdirector.com. Go direct to their website by clicking the Crow Creek banner on the right, or call the Pro Shop direct at 910-287-3081. While there, check out the apparel and accessories in the Pro Shop, and do not miss out on the great specials in their restaurant. Play Crow Creek Golf Course on your next Myrtle Beach golf trip. www.crowcreek.com.
Located in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, World Tour Golf Links recreates 18 of the world's most renowned and challenging golf layouts from 15 courses in 3 countries and 9 states. The World Tour inspiration parallels the most elite courses such as Augusta National, Wingfoot, Oakmont, Pine Valley, St. Andrews, and Royal Troon. Come play Augusta's Amen Corner or the prestigious number 1 and 18 of St. Andrews. Experience international golf in Myrtle Beach. Click the banner here on thegolfdirector.com or go to their website at www.theworldtourgolf.com.
His father and his father's father, young James the Fourth puts the ball to the tee. Little could he know just what was to be from that day. Still some say the Rabbit Wars truly began when Bishop John Hamilton first loosed the hares. Still I remember folks didn't much care long as they could play. They're all here, all the ghosts, they're all here. There are hosts, all these souls gathered near. If you listen, perhaps you can hear. Very much like his father and his father's father, young Georgie Cheap takes a stand for the land, knowing that rabbits must give way to man. And the game, still some say the Rabbit Wars never quite ended till great-grandson James took his hands from the land, knowing that he must give way to the ancient demand of the game. They're all here, all the ghosts, they're all here. There are hosts, all these souls gathered near. If you listen, perhaps you can hear. So sing me a song of the old course, the royal and ancient, the old course, there where the grand game began, there where the strand links the land to the sea. That's where the ball and the soul will take flight. Sing me a song of sea. That's where the ball and the soul both take flight. Sing me a song of the old course tonight. Sing me a song of the old course, the royal and ancient, the old course, there where the grand game began. This precious strand links the land to the sea. That's where the ball and the soul both take flight. Sing me a song of the old course tonight. Sing me a song of the old course tonight.
And welcome back to TGD Today on TGD TV and TGD Radio. This is your host, George Honeycutt, along with Mr. Al Cloyd. Dr. Grind is in the house for Tech Talk with Al Cloyd.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
How are you, sir?
Doing great. I can't complain.
It's good to see you. Good to see your smiling face.
Good to be here. It's good to see your smiling face. That's right.
This is fun.
Heck
Tech
yeah.
Talk with Al Cloyd. What's our subject matter for today?
Awesome. We're going to talk about some of the clubs that's going to be used in the Ryder Cup.
Perfect.
Definitely.
It's time to talk.
It is time, definitely.
So I noticed many of the guys, one thing that jumped off at me real quick was the number of hybrids the guys had in the bag.
Yep. Hybrid count is up. The technology is just amazing on these things. The 3, the 4, the 2 irons, they're just disappearing. We saw it. It always starts trending like on the senior tour, and then it kind of rolls over to the LPGA,
Right.
and then it'll roll over. The PGA Tour is kind of the last to really embrace, some of these technologies. They're so used to, the traditional way of doing things. But these hybrids that the manufacturers are creating now are just rocket ships.
Yeah. As far as the course layout, the way the rough areas are grown, and some of this rough is quite heavy. But are you finding and seeing in the what's in the bag reports and things like that? Is there more bounce being added to the wedges and things like that?
Yeah, they're spending a lot of time on the wedges. You're going to find that most of them are going to have a high bounce wedge and a low bounce wedge.
Oh.
That way they can kind of mess around in both directions.
So remind our listeners and our viewers, Al, you would use a low bounce wedge for what grass, and then a high bounce wedge for what?
You got very little bounce would be when the ball's on very short grass.
Okay.
You're not going to have to do a whole lot to get the ball airborne.
So you want a sharp leading edge?
You want a sharp leading edge so you can get the club, just under the ball.
Okay.
Bounce tends to help a lot out of a sand trap.
Okay.
Out of the rough, the deep rough. It just helps you get the club underneath the ball a bit better.
So there's a little bit more mass
That's correct.
at the bottom of the swing?
Yeah, there's a little bit more mass, and with those shots you tend to hit them just a little bit heavy. Or you'll come in, catch the ball, and then hit them pretty heavy. So the bounce keeps that club from digging down into the ground.
Okay.
Tremendously.
Now, with more bounce on your wedge, do you find that the ball comes off the face higher? You hit the higher part of the club?
It does. The person that needs more bounce is going to be someone that has more of a descending blow. So they're going to hit the ball technically higher anyhow. So that's
like
correct.
me, for example.
That's right.
That's right. So
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, I can launch a putter 12 feet in the air.
That's
so,
it.
Yeah.
Stop.
Okay. Let's go back to that real quick so our viewers and our listeners understand, Al. Educate us again. I'm working now at the Golfsmith CPC Center at Barefoot.
Congratulations on your new
Center.
job.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
We have people that come in all the time, including the Greg Norman Academy students come over every day for lunch. It's kind of a known thing. At 12 o'clock, you get inundated by 20 young men that come over there and want to touch and feel everything.
Got you.
They don't
Yep.
buy anything.
Right.
They just want to touch
Yep.
and feel it.
Yep.
And they are in there asking me questions about all these new wedges that are coming out. The SM5s, the Mizuno, the 850
Yep,
lines.
the 850.
They're asking me about the of course the Clevelands.
Yes.
And then they're asking about comparative of Cleveland to now the new Callaways.
Yes.
The Mac Daddies, and of course the newer models that are coming out, the V series.
Yes.
And so they're asking me about all this, but more importantly, I turn around and ask them. I said, "Do you know what type of bounce that you want?
Right.
What degree?"
Yes.
And some of them, they understand.
Oh, yeah,
Others,
yeah.
you see their eyes
Just
roll in
roll
the back
back
of
in
their
their
head.
head. Yep.
Explain real quick bounce in relation to if you see a 12 on
Yes.
a wedge versus if you see an 8 on the wedge.
Exactly.
Explain that if you
Sure.
would.
I'd be more than glad to. Well, there's a ton of wedge manufacturers out there, and now there's a ton. You maybe have two options in bounce from a particular manufacturer on a certain loft wedge. Now there can be is 3, 4. What a lot of the companies are doing is even something that I've done with my wedges years ago. They've caught on to it. Is by changing the loft of a club, you actually change the bounce without grinding it. So if you want a specific loft and a
makes sense.
certain bounce rate, you can take a specific head and adjust it. And that's what Mizuno's doing now with the little plates.
By
that they're
moving
putting-
the loft, and I got my hand turned toward the camera here, Jeff,
Yep.
hopefully you're picking it up. By moving the loft, you're basically, if you put the leading edge more toward the ball,
That's correct. You
then
add loft
You're adding loft.
and adding bounce.
Exactly. That's what I was getting to.
Yes, sir.
And then if you strong it, if you make it stronger,
That's correct.
stand it more upright, then you're taking away that bounce, but you're bringing back in the leading edge more.
That's correct.
Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay. In relation to the numbers, what
Yep.
does 12 mean more bounce or
Yes.
less bounce?
Yeah, 12's a high number. 12 to 14 is going to be a lot of bounce. Your lesser numbers are going to be in your 8s, your 6s, in that neck of the woods. What you'll find is, like, now we're getting a lot more. We're getting the pitching wedge, the gap wedge, sand wedge, then lob wedge. And some people will carry, they'll go to the pitching wedge, and then they've got 2 wedges. Some people carry 3. Some people carry 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on, your game and where you're at, on what kind of bounce you want. But the bounce just basically, it's more determined by how you make impact with the ball. So you've got, pickers, the guys that come in that just take very little divot whatsoever.
Right.
And they don't need hardly very little bit of bounce at all. And then you've got guys that take just a mild divot. They're in the medium number of bounce rate.
Okay.
And then you got guys, that rip up half the earth. And then
They're planting corn.
They're planting corn. They need the bounce. So that's pretty much in a nutshell, how you can determine, which.
So if you're taking a big divot, you're really you're using that leading edge so much that you're just plowing through the earth.
Yeah.
And that ball is literally staying on that face forever.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right.
So the ball is really rolling up the face.
Yes.
And creating a ton of spin.
That's correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
So, wow. Okay. I just get lucky every once in a while.
Heck yeah.
So let's go back to, I've got a question also that's come up over at the Callaway Performance Center at Barefoot. Is I have people that come in and they look at new sets of irons.
Right.
Normally, your sets of irons now go from the 4 iron
That's correct.
to the pitching wedge.
That's correct.
Okay.
Or they
Is that
actually,
right?
it goes 4 to gap wedge now.
Okay.
So what it is they've strengthened these clubs, through the years, in an attempt to make them hit further. So basically, a 4 iron that you're hitting today is like a 3 iron from years and years ago.
Okay. All right.
So now we have to have.
So they just made all the clubs a little stronger.
That's correct. Yeah, 2 to
Okay.
4 degrees.
Okay.
Which is 4 degrees would be 1 club, 2
Right.
degrees would be half a club.
Okay.
And they're making them a little longer too.
Well,
in
I
length.
remember back in the day, both when Golfsmith got into the business, they had the King Snakes, and then also too, there were the Cobra copies, and of course the Ping, and when they first came out, you would see some of these clubs as much as 2, 3, 4 degrees strong.
That's correct.
Because you would order these clubs, or you would hit a sample of them, and you'd say, "My God, I can hit this 8-iron 150 yards," where before it took a 6-iron to hit it 100. Well, that's because they manipulated the loft.
That's correct.
To make them stronger.
That's correct, and the length.
And the length.
And the length.
And
yeah.
the length.
Yeah, the length is very important.
Let me go back to I started the conversation, and you eloquently set me straight there, and that's great. So you get a 4 through a gap wedge.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I see so many amateur players, Al, that they go and buy a new set of clubs, and they get the 4 through the gap wedge.
Yes.
And then they've got a totally different 2 wedges in their 2 other wedges in their bag, say a sand and a lob wedge, or a sand and a who knows, maybe they didn't get the gap wedge with their set, and they go and get a blade type wedge, although they may have a wide sole cavity backed type of iron.
Yeah, I see that a lot, because a lot of
Do you see where I'm going here?
Oh yeah.
Because
Definitely.
it requires a totally different swing.
stroke. Yep.
It requires a different approach. In other words, how your club enters the ball. It and also too, I notice again, as you said, there's been manipulation by the manufacturers of a length. There's been manipulation by a manufacturer of the loft.
Yes, sir.
In order to market their product.
Oh, definitely.
To say, look, you hit ours farther, and longer. You're not so much straighter, but you hit ours, and the clubs now are actually making it straighter. Which we've been seeing that with the driver for years, but now we're seeing it in the irons.
Oh, yes.
Like the JPX 850.
Yes, definitely.
That's a perfect example there of a game improvement design.
Yeah,
okay.
Well,
but not to get into Mizuno. I just used it as an example.
Oh, yeah.
But then we have the amateur player that then will go have, let's say that they have 8 irons in their bag that are by Callaway.
Yes, sir.
And then they have 3 wedges in their bag that are by Cleveland.
Yes.
And they're blade type wedges with no bounce on them.
Yes.
And you're sitting there looking at them, and you look at their bag and you go, okay. You ask them, okay, how do you hit your 8? Well, I hit it this way. How do you hit your 4? I hit it this way. How do you hit your 9? I hit it this way. How do you hit your wedge? Well, Dr. Grind, with my wedge, I hit my gap wedge, which is part of the set. I hit it 110 yards.
Yes.
But I can't hit my sand wedge but 85 yards.
Yep. Well, what you'll find is that sand
That's
wedge.
25 yards difference.
A big time. You'll find that 9 times out of 10 that they've got a totally different shaft, in their iron set versus in their wedges. Because most wedges that come off the rack have a stiff steel shaft.
Right.
That's just the way it's been done for years, and that's still the way they're doing it. I mean, that's just the way it is. People would be so much better off. A lot of, say, your mid to higher handicappers, to get rid of these what we call scoring wedges. Okay, get rid of them. Get you a perimeter weighted, cavity back, thick soled iron in a wedge that matches your iron set.
Bingo.
And they're going to be a lot happier, and they're not going to be as frustrated. These wedges are made for the better player.
I had a gentleman Sunday that came in. Of course, Sunday we were going through a tropical storm, depression, whatever the hell it was. It rained like a banshee. And I had a gentleman in his mid-60s come in, and he goes, are you the Godfather? And I said, yes. He goes, I heard I need to come over and get fitted by you. And I said, great, I appreciate you coming over. He wanted to try the new Apex, which, of course, Callaway Apex.
Yeah.
And
big buzz about it.
Which of course, us being a Callaway Performance Center by Golfsmith, we have them.
Yes.
And so I said, fantastic, let's do it. And he's a 7 handicapper, so a very accomplished player.
Oh, yes.
Great swing.
Right.
Great swing.
Yep.
And he was playing pings that, for whatever reason, although he claimed they were fitted for him 2 years ago, he had been losing distance. The toe of the club was dramatically up in the air at his during a normal stance.
Right.
And then I noticed his wedges. and his wedges were of a different manufacturer. They were a blade type with all of them had roughly 7 to 8 degrees of bounce, including his lob wedge.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm just continuing to lose distance with my wedge. He goes, I haven't lost feel.
Right.
But that's because he ingrained the feel in his mind with those wedges.
That's correct.
He told his mind, I'm going to hit these this way. I'm going to hit them good, and I feel confident with them.
Yes.
However, are they performing for him? No. He had as much as a 30-yard difference between his pitching wedge, which was his last matched club in his set.
Right.
Then his gap, his sand, and his 58 degree, which he used as a lob wedge, was of a different manufacturer. He came to me during the fitting. We went through his irons. We found the right set, and he was leaving steel shafts, by the way, too.
I'm with you.
He said, I put the recoil in his hand, and then I put the new TP Callaway blue shaft, which is their Tour graphite.
Okay.
I put that in his hands with the Apex head.
Gotcha.
And long story short, he loved the recoil.
Right.
And then when he got the TP in his hand, we saw his club head speed and his ball speed increase by almost 3 to 4 miles per hour.
A little lighter shaft?
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Which he loved the feel because it also enhanced the feel of the head at the end of the club.
Exactly. Yep.
So, you see where we're going here.
Oh, I do. Definitely.
Okay. Now we get to his wedges.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, you're actually going to look at my wedges during this fitting? I said, oh, hell yeah. I said, that's where your game's at.
Yeah.
I said, you're a 7 handicap because of those wedges.
Exactly.
And he goes, well, that's an excellent point, Mr. Honeycutt. I never thought of that. And so we started looking at his wedges. And I took the matching Apex wedges and put in that shaft, that graphite shaft.
Yes.
Okay? He went from his gap wedge, which was a 52, in a blade type setting,
conventional,
with no bounce.
Right.
He was hitting his gap wedge about 100 yards.
Right. It's about typical. Yep.
With the Apex head, cavity backed, muscle backed, tungsten inserted, thinner face, wider sweet spot,
graphite
shaft. Now I put in the TP. Then he picked up 15 yards per shot. He hit 11 shots, all of them 15 yards or longer with that club. He just started doing it.
Yep.
And he looked at me and went, holy crap.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Where's this been all my life?
Yep. Well, it is. I mean, it's just.
And I said, how does the head feel? He goes, I love it. I feel the head.
Yep.
Then I put him in a 58.
Mm-hmm.
Same head, same shaft.
Right.
And he picked up 9 yards.
Yep.
And he goes, holy crap, George. So we went back up to the computer and we ordered him an entire set. He didn't get the 4-iron, interestingly.
Right.
He went with the 5 hybrid.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
Because he found that with the 5, he could go to the end of the shaft, hit it full, and he was hitting his 4-iron. He also found that he could short it down and hit his 5-iron.
I got you.
So he went ahead and, much like I've done, he took his 3 and 4 out of the bag.
Yes.
He said, I haven't been hitting them well.
Right.
And as I get older, he says it's just more of a struggle to hit it than it is fun.
Exactly.
And so
that's when you need to
went
start.
The hybrids. Yeah. And then he of course ordered the matching heads from the 5-iron all the way down to the lob wedge.
Right.
With those shafts.
Very smart.
And you should have seen the excitement.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. When we go back to Ryder Cup this week, these guys are using. You see a lot of driving irons.
Yes.
You see, we've got the driving irons over there. You've got the driving irons, Tour Exotics, whatever it may be, Mizunos.
Mizunos, yep.
So the point is these pros are finally letting a little bit of their ego away.
Yes.
They're letting it fall away and saying, okay, I need to get back into game improvement. We saw this with Phil a couple of years ago with the Frankenwood.
Yes.
He realized, okay, maybe I don't need to hit that 6-degree driver. Maybe I can go a 12.5-degree Frankenwood, and which now Callaway offers is a 2 deep. in a 3-wood type environment, but it's 12.5 degrees.
Exactly.
And so he saw more control.
Yep.
He saw more spin control. He saw more launch angle control.
Yep.
And he didn't have to worry about the big flail left or the big flail right. And so now we're seeing also the amateur player, not only in men, but also women, taking advantage of this.
Oh, definitely. You make a shaft shorter and you put more loft on a club, I mean, it just becomes easier to hit. I mean, it's just that simple.
Right.
If you take a 48-inch driver that's 8.5 degrees loft, and you put that in the average golfer's hands, I mean, he's just going to struggle.
Right.
You put him in a 12 degree that's 45 and a half, or 45, 44 and a half. Even we're now starting to experiment. We're going back shorter again.
Right.
For the fairway.
And we've seen this at the pro level. Zach Johnson went back shorter.
Oh yeah.
Webb
yeah.
Simpson uses a shorter shaft.
Yep, and heavier. And
heavier.
weight.
Right.
Weight's jumping back up.
Right.
We went from, back in the day, steel shafts were around 130 grams.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started in graphites. They were around 65 and 75 grams were the average. Then they started 55, and boy, we
Right.
thought that was light.
Yeah.
And then they got to 45, and we thought, man, there's nothing to this. And then they got down to the 38s and 39 grams.
Yeah.
And then it's like, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's not as much mass to the shaft. You have to do something to lose that weight, and you do it by thinning the walls of the shaft down,
which creates deflection, which creates torque and twist and
Yep.
and flex.
Oh, definitely.
So you're giving up something to gain something.
Yeah, it is. You're going to have to, and that's pretty much the nut. And
that's where the recoil really comes into plays, because that recoil shaft has both graphite and steel fiber in it, so it retains its firmness. Although it's not the lightest shaft on the market, but I think as far as rigidity, as far as durability, as far as long-term effect,
yes,
that recoil is probably going to give you the best option versus just what's considered to be a pure graphite shaft. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, years and years ago, when I worked with UK Golf, we actually had a shaft that was made specifically for us that had boron metal,
right,
wound in the fibers. So when you would cut it, you'd actually see sparks fly. A pure graphite shaft, when you cut it, you'll see no sparks whatsoever.
Yeah, you just get the black dust.
You just get the black dust. Where if it's got any metal in it, you'll see some type of a
sparking
effect
from the wheel.
That's correct. And we had a lot of really good luck with those, and that was in not the infancy of graphite, but sort of the second, third phase.
Right.
Now we're in the fifth, sixth, seventh generations.
Oh
this
my
stuff.
God, yeah.
So basically, what I'm getting at is that driver shafts. I see them getting back a little bit heavier. It's getting back into the, into the 65 gram range. Into the 75 gram range. The better players even 85 to 95 gram range.
But do you agree, Al? And we kind of extended on here, so we may need to cut it off. But do you agree that they can get back a little bit heavier because they have refined the technology, enabling them to know exactly more precisely where that kick point is, where torque point is, where that flex point is.
Oh, yeah.
So where before you'd heard, okay, this is a mid kick.
Right.
And the amateur golfer, he said, oh yeah, I'm playing a low kick driver shaft, or I'm playing a high kick driver shaft.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well tell me where the kick point is.
Exactly.
And they couldn't tell you if they had a gun to their head.
Yeah. The kick point's only about that far from the tip anyhow.
That's right.
I mean
it doesn't matter. High, mid, or low.
Yep.
But the point is now is they were able to, with technology and refinement of the designs and how they put the shafts together, they're able to narrow that focus down, so they can, instead of going light and just saying, okay, this is great for the lady player, this is great for the seniors, they can actually go and jump after the mid to low handicappers and say, okay, you can use a lighter shaft in the 75 gram or 65 gram, but yet you can still maintain your flex and kick and your torque and your what you're looking for there as far as performance values.
That's correct. Get the shaft to unload and load properly.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very informative, dude. Good show.
I enjoyed it.
Tech Talk with Al Cloyd, of course, brought to you on Tgd Today here at Tgd TV, Tgd Radio. I'm your host, George Honeycutt, and we want to thank Al for coming in and sharing with us today. A little bit of talk about Ryder Cup, but a lot of talk about golf clubs. So it's always fun to have you in and do that. Coming up real soon, after a quick commercial break, we'll be doing more programming here on Tgd TV and Tgd Radio on Tgd Today.
Dave at the Golf Director. 844-GO-GOLF-1. That's 844-464-6531. Just call Dave. Dave can get you on the course with the best rates on the Grand Strand. Just call Dave. If you're a little shy and you don't like talking on the phone, just chat with Dave. Go to thegolfdirector.com in the lower right-hand corner, click chat. In a few seconds, you're going to be chatting live with Dave. Dave has some of the best golf packages offered anywhere. Just call Dave. 844-GO-GOLF-1. That's 844-464-6531. Tell your friends to tweet at the Golf Director. Hashtag just call Dave. 844-GO-GOLF-1. Just call Dave at the Golf Director.
Tee it up, where we gonna hit 'em today? Tee it up, got my sticks, I'm on my way.
Come and experience the ultimate with the Glenn's Golf Group Stay and Play Package, which includes 8 rounds of golf for the price of 3. Book at least 3 rounds of golf at Heather Glen, Glen Dornick, and Shasberry Glen, and you'll receive a free morning round at Possum Trot, plus free pre-booked afternoon replays at each of the 4 courses. Your golf group will stay at the Village to Glens, located at Heather Glen Golf Links, which features 2- and 3-bedroom townhouses and villas. Or build your own custom stay and play golf package. Choose from over 80 golf courses in Brunswick, Horry, and Georgetown counties. The Glens Group has great discounted summer rates that last through September 4th. To book your next golf vacation, go to www.glensgolfgroup.com or click the Glens Group banner on this website.
Located in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, World Tour Golf Links recreates 18 of the world's most renowned and challenging golf layouts from 15 courses in 3 countries and 9 states. The World Tour inspiration parallels the most elite courses such as Augusta National, Wingfoot, Oakmont, Pine Valley, St. Andrews, and Royal Troon. Come play Augusta's Amen Corner or the prestigious number 1 and 18 of St. Andrews. Experience international golf in Myrtle Beach. Click the banner here on thegolfdirector.com or go to their website at www.theworldtourgolf.com.
I'm here today with personal trainer Ryan Copeland talking about how we can improve our golf game with some easy daily stretches. But Ryan, I want to ask you, there's some folks out there who work out regularly, they're in great shape, they think they don't even have to stretch before they go out for a round of golf, but that can be bad, right?
What I would actually notice in the gym here, whether you golf or just casual working out, is that the people who work out harder actually think they're more advanced and that they actually stretch less because they think they're doing more. In the contrary, they're hurting themselves because as you contract the muscles, they want to stay in that contracted state and tighten, which is actually, if they do golf, is going to hurt their golf game. We need to elongate the muscles. I always recommend at least 3 days a week of stretching, full body. And if you're more advanced, I recommend middle-aged people about 30 seconds per stretch, and older and younger people about 15 seconds and working up to it.
Thanks, Ryan, for that fitness tip brought to you by The Gym, North Myrtle Beach's only 24-hour fitness facility. For more information about this topic and other fitness tips, find them at thegym24.com. That's thegym24.com.
He's the man on the back, knows all there is to know about my game, knows when I ain't hitting I'm quite the same, and when I'm terrible he takes the blame. He's the man on the back, part father confessor, part greenside shrink. Even when my game just stinks, he never thinks it's a drag. He's over there holding the flag, he's the man on the back. The winds change direction, you can reach the water from here. There's a trap at the dog leg. Remember you made a birdie here last year. Where would I be without him? Oh, how my heart would He's the man on the bag. Knows all there is to know about my swing. Even on the days when I ain't got a thing, he's right beside me giving everything. He's the man on the bag. Part Mother Teresa, part Captain Hook. Even when my game's just cooked, he looks at me and he brags. He's over there holding the flag. He's the man on the bag. 152 to the front edge, 183 to the back. I think I'll step on an 8-iron. He says, give the smooth 7 a smack. I put it 6 feet for birdie. Oh, what a great approach. Kindly I remind him that he's still flying coach. He's the man on the bag. Even when I'm leaving it in the sand, he's there with the rake in his hand. He's over there holding the flag. He's the man on the bag. Sancho Panza and Tonto knew it. Dr. Watson got his man through it too. He's the one I can count on to be true. He's the man on the bag. Knows all there is to know about my game. Knows when I ain't hitting them quite the same. And when I'm terrible, he takes the blame. He's the man on the bag. Part Gabby Hayes and part Stony Sphinx. Even when I take to drink, next morning he's there with the shag. Never mentions the short ones I gag. Even told me my girlfriend's a nag. But he gives me no grief when I lag. He's the man on the bag. He's over there holding the flag. He's the man on the bag. Talk about hitting rock bottom. Talk about swing faults. I got 'em. Talk about high numbers. I
And welcome back to TGD Today here on TGD TV and TGD Radio. Of course, I'm your host, George Honeycutt, and with me, Mr. Al Cloyd, Dr. Grind. How are things over at Possum Trot, dude?
Things are going good. It's a little quiet. It's that time of the year. A lot of rain here lately, so.
A lot of rain, dude.
A lot of rain.
I mean, I've talked to several courses, and it's been several hundred rounds that they've been affected by just in this month. And so it's crazy.
It is. It's definitely making an economic impact.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I've known out at the barefoot courses, they've had their driving range shut down for 2 days. Thankfully, there at Possum Trot, y'all been open, and it was busy yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they'll keep that driving range open, and it's tough because we'll actually have to go out and unplug balls. They get. I mean, it's amazing. We'll get a handful of guys with a bunch of little.
Well, Trevor's got nothing to do.
Yeah, it gives him something, keeps him occupied.
Just send Trevor out there.
That's right.
He's got nothing to do. So, again, this is coverage of the majors here on TGD Today, and we're talking Ryder Cup with Al. And earlier in our programming, we talked about Ryder Cup. We talked about some of the pairings possible for tomorrow. Right now, the opening ceremonies are going on live on the Golf Channel. You'll be able to catch those. We have some singing, some speeches being made, and, of course, interestingly, is the U.S. squad and what they're wearing as far as a collective team. They look more European than the European squad does, Al. So
they do.
It's kind of interesting what Captain Watson selected as far as the apparel for the opening ceremonies. And, of course, this is a big gala. This is for them, the kickoff. Of course, everybody's wives are there or their quote-unquote significant other.
Right.
And, of course, you've got the captain, the co-captains there, the assistant captains, however they were referred to. Interestingly, again, as a reminder, the U.S. squad, they only have 3 assistant captains. And, however, the Team Europe has 5 assistant captains. So it's going to be quite interesting. And I kind of like, people have questioned the overkill for 5 assistant captains for Captain McGinley. I thought about this the other day, and for me, I would like to have 5 assistant captains. First off, you're putting 4 balls out, you're putting foursomes out.
Right.
So there's going to be 4 teams of 2 out on the course in the morning, 4 teams of 2 out on the course in the afternoon. Wouldn't it be nice to have an assistant captain with each of those teams, walking the course with them, having a direct intercommunication with Captain McGinley or Captain Watson? But for Captain McGinley, he's got, Jimenez, he's got Elizaval, he's got Jose Maria Olazabal, He's got, of course, Patrick Harrington, and he's got Sam Torrance. So he's got all of these past captains, past players that are out there giving him direct feedback on how these guys are playing, how they're doing. Where with Captain Watson, he's got North and Floyd and Steve Stricker.
Right.
And, of course, I think Michael Jordan will be around somewhere, but he shouldn't be mic'd up. But, again, they're going to have to go in the cart from hole to hole to hole to hole to hole to start watching these guys and to get feedback and versus, the assistant actually walking with each group.
Right.
I just think that's advantageous. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it could add just a little bit of pressure to the players, just because, you got somebody right there over top of you expecting you, to do this, do that.
But they've seen the captains with them, especially the European squad, with each of their pods that they have sent out for practice rounds. Mm-hmm. So they would fully expect it. And then I think, too, maybe it adds another level of them wanting to do good.
Right. Right. It very well could.
Maybe it helps their mind stay focused.
Right.
So I'll go the other side of the coin, and you go one side, I'll go the other.
You got it.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Again, a reminder, tomorrow morning, the 4 balls start, and the times that I'm giving you are basically the European time in of course, where they're playing there in Scotland. So you're looking at 7:35 a.m., 7:50 a.m., 8:05 a.m., and 8:20. So they're basically doing 15-minute intervals. That's the foursomes you're looking at, or the 4-ball in the morning. And then you're looking at the foursomes going at, depending on how they turn and how they finish in the morning, Then you're looking at, of course, 1:15, 1:30, 1:45, and 2 o'clock. Foursomes from the morning four ball flowing over. They also have the option of going at 12:15, 12:30, 12:45, and 1 o'clock. Saturday, you're seeing similar times for the morning four ball and for the afternoon start times. So it is then going into Sunday that they will be adjusting their start times. And again, this is local time in over there at Glen Eagles, 11:36, and then they will be going all the way down to, of course, 1:48 in the afternoon. And for those of you that are not quite acquainted with the math, just take the 11:36 start time for the singles matches, subtract 5, and that's what you have as far as local time here on the East Coast. If you're on the West or Central or whatever, then you just adjust from there.
I got you.
So
I got you.
It makes it pretty simple to keep up with. But again, the coverages are going to be starting extremely early, so you'll have to be up around 2 to 2:30 in the morning to catch the start of the play. Interestingly, Al, they've got 86 hours of coverage planned for the Ryder Cup. That's 86 hours.
That's a lot of coverage.
It sounds like the damn Olympics.
That's a lot of coverage.
NBC, bless their heart. I mean, them and the Golf Channel, they're doing a good job of it. And although it's been somewhat nauseous this week, just with the coverage, just how many different angles can you take on, okay, does this person like this person, or does this person get along with this person, or is this person, ready for the pressure, whatever. Yeah. Okay, so. But now we're winding down. We're getting into the meat, and literally tomorrow morning, we're right now 15 hours, 10 minutes, and a few seconds away from the start of the 2014, the 40th playing of the Ryder Cup.
Yes.
So for many of the guys, U.S. squad, for example, this is Phil's 10th Ryder Cup.
Yes, sir.
So he's probably the more experienced. And then you've got the Poulters, you've got the Graham McDowells, you've got the Jim Furyk's, you've got the Zach Johnsons, who have several years or several Ryder Cup experience events behind them. And for some, like Mickelson, this may be their last one.
Yes. Yep. This is you're hearing a lot about the changing of the guards. The younger generation starting
the young blood
starting to take things over, and we've watched that happen through the years. When other young ones have come up, and it's going to keep happening and keep happening.
Yeah, we brought this up a couple weeks ago, like Nicholas Kozarts, who had such a big, broad impact in day one in Medina, and he's not even there this year.
That's it.
Or a Jason Duffner, who had impact at Medina. He played well, and he was duffing. And and that really caught the media's eye. He was kind of like the media love child
for a while,
and then we don't see him there. And then, of course, we're also missing, and you brought this up earlier, we're missing Tiger.
Yes.
And of course, Tiger's always been the prominent, dominant figure at the Ryder Cup.
Yes, sir.
And we're missing him. And so, is this the changing of the guard? I think so.
I think so. Yep.
We realistically may not see Tiger again.
That could very well be true.
Who knows? Maybe the next time we see him is as a captain.
As a chair, Yep.
I mean, maybe so. Who knows?
Very well. Who knows?
We're not seeing the DJs or the Dustin Johnsons. We're not seeing the Jason Duffners. Although we have to swallow it, but we're having to relive the Hunter Mahans, and we're having to relive the Webb Simpsons versus the Chris Kirks, or versus, the Billy Horschels.
Exactly. That's exactly
that
right.
Prove themselves to be, we are capable of winning.
No doubt.
Big events. We are capable of really going out there and going low. We are capable of holding our own emotionally and psychologically. And I still believe, you got Jordan Spieth, which had a phenomenal beginning part of the year.
Yes.
He hasn't had that much of a great season in, third quarter, fourth quarter of the year. You've got Patrick Reed, who self-proclaimed, Jeff Gilder's favorite player, fifth best player in the world, whatever. But again, of late, not really stellar play.
Right.
Not really solid play. We saw that specifically at the Tour Championship by him finishing in the bottom 10. You're seeing some of these other guys that, quote unquote, changing of the guard. Ricky Fowler, self-deserving. He has finished top 5 in all the majors this year. Ricky's earned that.
Yeah, I love his haircut too.
Love his haircut.
Definitely.
Yep, good job there.
Yep.
And now Ted Bishop, the president of the PGA
Yes.
of America, has likewise etched USA into his head.
Yes.
So congratulations to Ted for stepping up and doing that. Again, excuse me, folks, you look at some of these other players, and, you know, you got the rookies on the European side. Again, your Jamie Donaldson's not really a rookie. He's in his 30s. He's been around the European Tour for years. He's quite familiar with major championship formats and setups and the media and the spectator pressures dealing with those type of events versus a Jordan Spieth who's not been aware of it.
Right.
And then you got a Patrick Reed against another one of their rookies is Victor Dubuisson. Dubuisson, of course, made a name for himself at the WGC event out in Arizona. Really put his name on the top of everybody's consideration board just because the way he handled himself emotionally, psychologically during that event. And then likewise, he's played very solidly throughout the year, whether it be over here or even on the European Tour. Reed, again, you know, he had a solid start to the season. He's not played all that bad, so I'll give Jeff credit to there. But, however, he's just not been that formidable player that, you know, he's kept up his FedEx Cup points. He's improved his world ranking enough to where he just stepped inside the line of qualifying for the team.
Exactly.
And so
right on the bubble.
He just kind of slipped up on the front porch.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
He didn't have enough to get in the door. He's out there on the porch. He's laying there with the dog.
Right.
Okay. And so I guess you could say,
that could be real good
the
or real
dog's
bad.
only going to lay on the porch as long as you kick it. I mean, you know, if you kick it too much, dog's going to leave the porch.
He's gone.
So, you know, do you leave Patrick alone and just say, okay, son, just handle. Now, one thing I'm disappointed in that he doesn't have his wife on the bag. So I think that was a hashtag that we were doing was, you know, Reed put wife on bag, hashtag.
Hashtag, right.
But, you know, like Ricky's ear in, ears out, you know. So, again, as amateurs, as rookies to this event, we look at who we have versus who they have. And your Jordans, your Patrick Reeds, you know, your Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker is just a solid player. He's non-emotional. He's not going to get into head games. You know, you even pair him up against a Poulter. Poulter's going to try every head game possible to get in whoever his opponent is for the singles match.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way he'll win.
That's gamesmanship. That's what they call that in England.
Exactly. And
Gamesmanship.
it's expected in the Ryder Cup.
I'm with you.
It really is, whether it's coming from the player or whether it's coming from the spectators.
Right.
There's going to be some form of it, whether it's accepted broadly by the general public or not.
Yes.
It's going to happen.
Oh, no doubt.
And Poulter's probably going to be the instigator.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take an amateur like a Jimmy Walker,
it's not used to it. Yeah.
If last year you took someone like a Jimmy and put him up against Ian, I mean, that would be devastating.
Fry him, yeah.
But, however, for Jimmy, I don't think it matters who he goes out against. He's just going to go out. He's going to make birdies. He's never gonna get off that even keel.
Right.
There's not a roller coaster in his heart, in his brain, in his soul.
That'd be nice. It would really be
Wouldn't
nice.
it be nice?
It would be nice.
Just not to have a care and a worry in the world.
Yep.
And he's had some off the course trials and tribulations in his personal life.
Yes, sir.
But yet you just never see it. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always open to stand behind the crowd.
Right. And
he just wants to go out and play golf.
Yep.
And I think for Captain Watson, that spoke volumes.
Oh, yes, sir.
And I think that I would imagine Captain Watson almost looks at a Jimmy Walker as not a rookie.
Right.
Because of the way he handles himself.
Exactly.
He knows that he could take a Jimmy Walker and put him out there with Matt Kuchar, and that would be a formidable team.
Yeah. Well, with rookies anymore, I mean, they even though they may be a rookie to this particular event, I mean, the newer generation, they've come up hitting balls, from since they can walk, so it's just so interesting. We say rookie kind of loosely. Because man, these guys are good.
Well, the
I
rookie
mean, they're
to the Ryder
best
Cup.
in the world.
They're the best. This is
yeah.
the top, supposedly, and again, we're talking about Reed and Simpson and a couple others, but supposedly these are the top 24 players in the world.
That's correct.
In the world.
Correct. In the world.
And, it's a shame that your Jason Days couldn't be on the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame that your Adam Scotts can't be on the
Yeah, I'd
team.
like to see Adam. Yeah.
It's a shame that some of the other players that, again, have proven themselves through the regular PGA Tour, European Tour, whatever, the big shows, that proved themselves during the year that they can't participate in this.
Yeah.
And we remember back when the Ryder Cup first started, it was basically Great Britain and Ireland against the U.S.
That's correct.
And the U.S. dominated for
Big time.
40. I mean, for almost 30 events, they dominated. And then it was actually, if I remember the story right, it was pretty much Seve and Nick Faldo Sir Nick Faldo, who came up with the concept that we need to open this up.
Right.
We need
broader
more,
field.
We need
Yeah.
more talent.
Yep.
And so that's when your greater continental Europe was brought into the picture, to where a Seve could join,
Right.
to where Jose Maria
European.
Olazabal,
Yeah.
to where your Germany could join,
Yes.
your Bernhard Langers, who was the dominant force. I mean, he was number one player for many, many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
And so those types of introductions into the European squad was when the favoritism flipped.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, I think that speaks volumes for the Americans, and how well we done in the beginning, that they actually had to do that in order to have a more exciting event.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that they're going to have. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Well, when we sit and watch the past Ryder Cups compared to today's event, of course, now with social media, the internet, the TV coverage, the Golf Channel, 24/7 golf.
Oh, yeah.
Back then, it was, okay, is CBS going to pick it up? Are they going to show 2 hours of the Ryder Cup? Are they going to show tape delay of the Ryder Cup?
Right.
It was so much. But then when you look at the team that came over and played at Kiowa at the Ocean Course, the Europeans, which Bernhard Langer, your Nick Faldos, your Colin Montgomerys, your core group of European players that matched up very well against the U.S. squad.
Oh, yeah.
And you had your Freddie Couples and your
Seve.
your Seves,
Yep.
and then you had Corey Pavin, and then you had Mark O'Meara,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you had
Payne Stewart.
You
Yep.
had Payne Stewart, Mr. Ryder Cup himself.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to mention his name.
Yeah,
'cause-
Ian Poulter is the Payne Stewart.
Yep.
Ian Poulter is what Payne Stewart was to the U.S. squad. He is to the European squad.
That's correct.
Because Payne Stewart was Mr. Ryder Cup.
Oh, he was. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Emotion,
Yep.
just hype, just energy,
Oh,
just the thrill of taking the throat out of somebody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he loved that.
But yet he'd be the first one to go up and grab you on the face and just squeeze your cheeks together and say, "I love you, man. This
Yeah.
was a lot of fun."
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
a man of God,
Yes.
but yet a terror on the golf course.
Yes.
His attitude on the golf course was phenomenal.
he got a lot better with age. When he first come out, he was really out there.
Oh goodness, he was like Jasper Parnevik.
He was out there. So we got to watch him mature.
Yeah.
So and it was a tremendous loss. I mean, that was a tremendous loss.
Yeah, and we have another tremendous loss, which actually today the European squad actually wore again their tribute to Seve Ballesteros. They wore the Seve emblem, and also identifying the years that he was born, 1957, and the year he passed in 2011. And this was a one-day remembrance of Seve.
Yes.
Again, so they put that on their clothing that they wore today in their practice rounds. And so we likewise would like to comment on that and remember Seve.
Yes. Big time.
And Ballesteros, a definite impact maker into
big
the
time.
game of golf.
Yes, sir.
He was, without a doubt, I think one of the best short game players. Without a doubt, him and Gary Player are probably the best bunker players to ever live. and people say, "Oh no, it's Tiger." No. That those two guys, Mr. Player, for example, out of a bunker, phenomenal how good he was and how good he is.
Yes.
And then Seve Ballesteros, his creativity. I think so much that Phil Mickelson tries to study Seve's short game prowess and his creativity, and I think Phil, if he just reached 80% of what Seve would give us in the short game, Phil would be quite happy.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Yep.
And then we'll have to look and see who comes up, in the years to come, to have similar sets of hands that are that good.
That's correct.
And so maybe we see that. Who do you see? Take a couple of names from each side, Al, real quick, and
Sure,
then
sure.
we'll cover up our TGD Today coverage. But
You got it.
take a couple of names who are going to be real impact players.
Well,
say for the U.S. squad. Start
Yeah.
U.S. first.
Well, if I had to go on the U.S. squad, just right out the gate, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Nicholson's going to make an impact.
Okay.
Nicholson and Fowler, is who I'm seeing jumping.
Okay.
And Kuchar. I mean, I met him years and years ago back when the Canadian Tour used to come down here to Barefoot. He had come into the shop for a few little off and lies and a club repair. And I mean, he's just a super nice guy.
Right.
I mean,
good old Atlanta, Georgia Tech boy. He's now in Sea Island.
Yeah.
But,
big boy, tall.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to see him in. I'm gonna say Nicholson and Fowler on the American side.
Okay, American side. What about European squad?
Okay, European side. Then I'm gonna go with McDowell, and
Interesting.
And I'm gonna go with McElroy.
Yeah. I think you got to go with world number one.
Yes, sir.
If his driver stays as hot as it's been, and of course he's been trying the new driver this week, it's going to be interesting to see if he puts it in the bag tomorrow. He had it in the bag today.
Okay.
And he's hitting the new Vapor, which by Nike.
Okay.
And so it's going to be interesting if he puts it in the bag tomorrow. He's been practicing with it all week, but he also out on the driving range has been working with his standard driver.
Right.
So, there's all kind of bets going on evidently in GB and I as to which driver he's going to tee off with.
They will bet on anything.
Oh, they'll bet on anything.
They'll bet on
Who's
anything.
going to take the first dump
Yeah.
tomorrow morning? Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts.
How many
I mean,
sheets of paper will he use to wipe his ass when
Yeah.
he gets through taking a dump? So
Yeah.
I see the impact players again. I'll take your USA. You had Mickelson and who else?
Let's
Fowler?
see. Yeah, Nicholson and Fowler.
Fowler. I agree with Fowler. I
Okay.
think he's going to be an impact player, and I think your other impact player that's really going to make a statement this week, and that's Jim Furyk. Jim
Furyk.
doesn't have quite the record that he would like to possibly play his last Ryder Cup and leave that legacy.
Right.
He's not a winner on the Ryder Cup if you look at his record.
Right.
However, I think his rebirth is probably as best a word I can come up with this year to get on this Ryder Cup. I
yes.
think he wants to continue that proof that, I may be in my mid-40s and I may be reaching the end of my quote-unquote golfing life
Right.
on the PGA Tour, but I'm going to make an impact. This is my swan song.
Yep.
So I kind of like Ricky continuing his good play, and it's not because Ricky wants to make a statement. He's just going to continue his good play.
In his vibe.
In
Just
his
the vibe he's
Hey,
giving it.
Great. Yeah, I agree with that. So I got Jim versus Mickelson. So I think you could go either way with those two. On the European side, I agree McElroy, and I also think that they're looking for constant, steady play from Garcia.
Yes.
He's had a phenomenal year. Garcia has played extremely well, although, again, best player in the world to not have a major. So, again, Sergio, I think, will play well. I think also, too, you can look at, I think Poulter will somehow improve his game. And he's going to play in 4 matches. And I think you're going to see him at 3-0-1.
Right.
Somehow, some way, he's going to do it. So, and then literally, he may never be on another Ryder Cup except for, as a minimum, he'll be an assistant captain next time.
Right.
And then I see Poulter as literally in 6 years being the captain for the European squad.
Yep, for the European squad.
So,
yep.
This has been Al Cloyd and George Honeycutt here with you on TGD Today. This has been a lot of fun. I love this new format. So we're able to bring you a broad variety of segment shows, and then I'll put them under one banner. So we're very happy to be able to do that for you. For Al Cloyd, George Honeycutt, we've so much enjoyed today in our preliminary coverage of the Ryder Cup. We hope you enjoy the coverage of the Ryder Cup, and we look forward to getting back with you on Sunday morning, breakfast at the Ryder Cup here at TGD Studios, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, brought to you by the Zeus Digital Marketing Network.